Welcome back to the Means Report. Thank you for staying with us. Thanks again to John Rhodes and Laurie for stopping by. Really try to make it on Thursday night. We'll have a great time downtown together. Speaking of downtown, a man who lives and works there. He lives in his office, basically. That's what I mean by lives there, and he certainly is always on the clock. He's Mayor Deke Copenhaver. An honor to always have him here on our set. Mayor Copenhaver, thank you for being here.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Let's start off with some great news, and we were just talking about it. This no-wait concept. It's a company that is setting up shop in Augusta just in time for Masters Week, and it is going to transform your experience at restaurants. Tell us about No Wait and what they're doing.
It is. It's a startup technology company out of Pittsburgh. The CEO, Ware Sykes, is a friend of mine, but they're in 2,000 restaurants nationally. They wanted to do a big rollout in Augusta during Masters Week. Basically, they give the restaurant an iPad, customers sign in, and then what happens is, so you don't have to wait around the restaurant to be called for your reservation. You can go any place you want, and you get a text message telling you where you are in line, when it's time for you to sit down. So it's so simple, but it's like, why didn't I invent that? But they're here. They've signed up 20 restaurants so far. They're making a $500 donation for every restaurant they sign up to the Augusta Warrior Project. If they get to 50 restaurants, they'll double it, so that would be $50,000 to the Warrior Project.
That's incredible. And if we can picture just going out to eat for a moment, you have typically those devices in your hand that light up when your table's ready. And if you go too far from the concierge desk, the hostess desk, you're not going to see you're going to be out of range. This goes to your cell phone no matter where you are.
It does, and the good thing too is it's so much more efficient and effective. It improves the dining experience, but the faster you get people in and out, that's more money to the bottom line, which is more sales tax revenue to the city as well.
Let's stay on the golf Masters Week. Lots of people shopping and spending here, and talk about the patch, because people love to play golf while they're visiting as well. Where do we stand? The last time we talked was before this latest deal where Paul Simon came forward and said, let's get the first tee and the patch to team up. Do you think that'll happen?
Well, the approval that was given in Tuesday's commission meeting was directing Fred Russell to negotiate and bring forward a proposal from Mr. Simon's group, along with the two other groups that have been interested, so that we'll have a menu of A, B, and C. We have 3 deals on the table that we can look at and choose from one of those deals or not. But I like that because it gives us options.
And do you think that the other 2 companies that made bids or that were interested might stand a chance, or would you like to see First Tee and the patch team up?
Well, I'll tell you, I want to see the proposals, but I will tell you also I am a huge fan of First Tee. They do such good work. It's a great organization, so I would love to see them put something good on the table.
Is there a possibility in the short term, at least, that the patch would continue to lose money? At one point we talked about, I think, a $175,000 a year shortfall with the patch. Could that continue?
It could, but under the right management, I think we'll be okay.
Will Augusta be clean for Masters Week? Do you all remember the Caddy program? This was a program that helped clean up Augusta if business owners paid for it. And it left us for a while, Mayor, I think as of January, but now there's a petition circulating in an effort to bring Caddy back. What's the latest? Well,
Brad, it was not voted on in Tuesday's commission meeting, but I am strongly in favor of it. We live in a democracy, and 52% of the property owners downtown said they want to put it back in place. You know, you've got 48% that may not, but in a democracy, majority rules.
Yeah, so you would think that Caddy could be making a comeback. We'll continue to watch for that. It did stay mighty clean when they were patrolling the streets.
It sure did, and when you think about bringing in the Tea Center, and it's like I said, with bringing in No Wait, improving the visitor experience to restaurants, the Caddy does the same thing for visitors to downtown Augusta. It improves their experience.
I know that you are not opposed to privatization. Let's talk about our transit service and what its future looks like. There's talk this past week of creating an advisory board where members of the public can serve and help community city leaders find out what's best for our buses. What do you think?
You know, I don't think it's bad to get citizen input. And if you get the right people on the advisory board to really be the eyes and ears for the commission, I think that's not a bad thing. I will tell you, I believe that we will be able to find a service to come in and help us improve our transit system. You look at cities like Columbia, like Charleston, like Savannah, you know, just because the first time didn't work out doesn't mean that there aren't better companies out there that we can use.
What about the pay raises issue? This started off small, even though the controversy surrounding it was significant, where we saw the sheriff and others get raises. Now we're talking about the mayor getting a raise, commissioners getting a raise. If our local legislative delegation pushes this, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I can only speak for my position, and Brad, I would never be in favor of a pay raise for the mayor's position, simply because of the fact that I'd do it 150%. But if you went simply by the duties ascribed to the position, you could effectively have, because at one point it was promoted to make it the highest paid position in the city, you could have the highest paid person doing a part-time job, and that's not right.
Right.
If you want to increase the salary of the mayor's position, you need to increase the duties ascribed to the position, change the job description.
This is actually, though, a pretty good situation for you and for others to be in. When I say others, I mean commissioners, because y'all really don't have to lobby for a raise. At this point, isn't it just a matter of sitting back and seeing if you get one, seeing if state lawmakers pull through?
Well, I will tell you honestly, there's such a short time left in the session. I don't think anything's going to happen this year. I don't think that I'll be getting a raise, and I'm not promoting getting a raise for myself for the rest of my time in office. But it's not a bad thing to take a look at and see what the statewide average is for cities of our size. I think that's fair enough. Whether anything gets done, that remains to be seen.
We saw 3 commissioners get censured. I think the last time we were here, that was about to happen. They got censured because their companies did business with the city. Do you think that is over? I know that there was a local group calling for further investigation or further punishments. Where does that stand?
I believe it's over.
Yeah.
You know, the commission took as much action as they could on the matter. They censured the 3 commissioners, and it's time to move forward. They admitted that they had done wrong, and it's time to move on.
All right. Recently in commission action this past week, we saw commissioners vote to approve funding for Fort Gordon that Fort Gordon would basically use, I think, to help pay for national lobbying efforts, but deny $25,000 in funding for the Mock Academy, an academy that helps youth. There was some concern there by Commissioner Bill Lockett, and to quote Commissioner Alvin Mason, Commissioner Lockett admonished y'all for not supporting Mock. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a big supporter of Mock Academy. They do a great job with kids, you know, and so many kids that go through their program go on to college, get good educations. If I could have voted to have broken the tie, I would have probably voted in favor of funding Mock Academy and the CSRA Alliance for Fort Gordon, crucial organization. And my personal opinion is if we're able to find the money to fund that organization, we should be able to do the same thing for Mock Academy, as long as it's just for an interim funding, that it's not a yearly deal. I could be in favor of it.
Mayor, we have been watching Project Jackson as it unfolds. This is the effort that would bring, allegedly, a baseball stadium and retail and restaurants to North Augusta's riverfront. It was supposed to be, or many thought it would happen here on the Augusta side of the Savannah. But it seems to have stalled. It's not exactly getting a lot of love from elected officials in Aiken County. Do you think that Project Jackson's going to ever get off the ground? What do you hear from your counterparts in North Augusta?
It's funny you should ask that. I sat next to Mayor Lark Jones at the State of the Region address yesterday, where he and Chairman Cross and I spoke. And the first question I asked him was about that. He spoke to that directly during his remarks. He does not think it's dead yet. They're working on building a financing model and really crunching the numbers to see if it would be a great benefit for the city, which I think he feels like it will be. But it's a process, and it's not done yet.
You know, it was interesting. You said something on the news this past week. You don't want to poach North Augusta's project. No. You're not interested now that there seems to be this lull of jumping back in and saying, okay, y'all, let's bring it back to where it should have been the whole time. You're just going to leave this alone and let it play out because you think it's more of a community thing. Oh,
absolutely. And I made the remark yesterday that I don't see the Savannah River as a dividing line. That's our shared main street with North Augusta. And if the project goes on the North Augusta side, that's going to still bring money into downtown Augusta. But you look at between the Golf Hall of Fame property, the pension property, how much land we have to develop on our riverfront, and I believe that it will increase interest from developers with regards to our side of the river, so it all works together.
Mayor, now that we've gotten the first few weeks of the T Center under our belt, what do you think about that pedestrian walkway, that the $900,000 thing that was going to be built connecting the parking garage to the T Center? It's tough to cross that street sometimes. Do you think that walkway will get built?
I do, Brad.
I do too.
And it was fair enough for commissioners to say, let's see how it goes once we start filling the facility up. But I've been to any number of events there, and Reynolds Street, particularly with big 18-wheelers going down it, it is not safe to cross 4 lanes. And the money is there based on the cost savings that we had from building the parking deck. We had about $1 million left over, so it wouldn't be new money. And to my mind as well, you know, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and that facility will be the first impression that a lot of visitors to Augusta have. We want to be high quality, state of the art, and I think we need the bridge.
Well, and just to clarify, as we've done before, it's not $1 million that's just sitting around where people say, oh wait, we're facing other shortages, let's take that million. You can't reach into that pot for just anything.
No, it's SPLOST funding, and basically that's what I always try to explain public finance to people. SPLOST funds can only be used for bricks and mortar. So it's not like we have $1 million that we could put towards deputy salaries.
Right.
Those funds can only be used towards infrastructure and bricks and mortar.
Probably our last topic, you mentioned first impressions. What are your thoughts as people come here for Masters Week, not only regular patrons, but potential corporate citizens coming here to check us out?
I love it. You know, we are getting so much interest from so many businesses right now. Augusta is a great investment. I love the fact that the no wait story landed in the San Francisco Chronicle.
Yeah.
Great national news. I expect we'll get some great prospects out of it, and the city is looking good.
Well, we can't wait for that week. We know you're going to be busy, and we appreciate your updates as always.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Mayor Deke Copenhaver, Augusta's mayor. We do appreciate him stopping by always on the Means Report. When we come back, it is our question of the week and information on how you can get in touch with us. We'll be right back.